I graduated less than a year ago and somehow ended up with 5 competing job offers, including from companies like Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. And the weird part is, I wasn't even a top student. I didn't have perfect grades, I didn't have some insane resume, I just did a few specific things in my interviews that made recruiters actually take me seriously. And once that started happening, everything changed. I went from hoping I'd get one offer to choosing between multiple. I'm going to break down 5 of those things, and the last one is by far the biggest reason companies started competing for me instead of ignoring me. And just so you know, this isn't theory. I actually went through the process, and these are the 5 things that I learned. I had multiple companies interviewing me at the same time, moving me forward and eventually making offers. These are the exact things that made that happen. Tip 1. Confidence is a signal, not a personality trait. Most people think confidence is something you either have or you don't. That's not how interviews work. Interviewers don't actually know if you're good yet. They're trying to figure it out. So what do they rely on? Signals. And one of the biggest signals is how you carry yourself when you speak. If you sound unsure, hesitant, or like you're guessing, they assume you're not ready, even if you are. But if you sound clear, direct, and grounded in what you're saying, they start to believe you. And that matters way more than people think. Before every interview, I would literally sit there for a few minutes and just think, what would someone who is good at this job actually act like? How would they talk? How would they explain things? How would they respond under pressure? And then I would consciously step into that version of myself when I walked in. Not in a fake way, but in a focused way. Not trying to pretend I'm someone that I'm not, but just thinking if I was that person, kind of manifesting it. Because sounding credible is just as important as being credible. Tip number 2, your resume is a script, know it like one. Your resume is not just a piece of paper, it's the entire roadmap for your interview. Almost every question they ask you is going to come from something on it, or it will be a question that you can answer using the content included on it if you've built it right. And if you don't know your resume deeply, it will show. I learned this the hard way. Early in college, I had an interview for an internship, and I tried to make myself sound a little more capable in accounting than I actually was at the time. Nothing crazy, just, stretching things a bit. And it completely backfired. They asked me a pretty basic question about it, and I couldn't answer confidently. And right there, I could feel it. The tone of the interview changed. They stopped trying to learn anything new about me because they already had what they needed. Because it wasn't just about that one answer, it made everything else on my resume feel less believable. One weak answer can collapse your entire story, even if you truly are the best person for the job. I made sure I could explain every bullet point, give examples instantly, and go deeper if they asked in the future. Once you know your resume like that, you stop reacting and start controlling the conversation. Tip number 3, saying I don't know can actually make you more hireable. This sounds counterintuitive, I know, but it's one of the biggest shifts you can make. Interviewers can sense BS immediately, like instantly. Interviews in their most simple sense are basically just a trust test. Does the interviewer trust you to help out the company? And the moment they think you're bluffing, you lose trust. And once that trust is gone, it's basically impossible to get it back in the next few minutes of an interview. But when you say, honestly, I'm not sure, but here's how I would approach figuring it out. That does 2 things. It shows honesty and it shows problem-solving ability. That's what they actually care about, because the reality is, most jobs are going to train you anyway. They're not expecting you to know everything or even anything before you start working there. They're trying to figure out, can you learn, can you take feedback, and can you handle not knowing something without panicking? If the answer is yes, you're in a really strong position. So stop trying to be perfect, focus on being real and capable. Tip number 4, your mistakes are actually your advantage. Most people go into interviews trying to look perfect. No weaknesses, no failures, no mistakes. And ironically, that makes them less believable because nobody's perfect and interviewers know that. So when you're willing to talk about a mistake, and more importantly, what you learned from it, you stand out immediately. You feel human. You show something way more valuable than perfection, which is the ability to grow. For me, I would always talk about a time when I led a team working for my city's Parks and Rec department. At first, I made the mistake of just assigning people tasks without really thinking about what they were good at, and it obviously didn't go well. People weren't engaged, the work wasn't great, and it just wasn't effective. But I learned from that. I started paying attention to people's strengths and adjusting how I assigned work, and everything improved. That simple story shows self-awareness, adaptability, and leadership, all from a quote-unquote mistake. That's what you want, and that's what's going to get you hired. Tip number 5, don't just interview, get inside the company first. If you take one thing from this video, I want you to take that. So I'm going to repeat it one more time in case you missed it. So pay attention, sit up, and listen just for the next 5 seconds. Don't just interview, get inside the company first. And honestly, I almost never see people talk about this. It's honestly the biggest cheat code, and it's so easy to do. Most people apply, get an interview, and show up as a complete stranger. That's the default. That's the standard. But if you can walk into an interview already having talked to people at the company, you're in a completely different position, because whether people admit it or not, who you know matters a lot. So before my interviews, I would reach out to people on LinkedIn, ask for a quick 10 to 15 minute call, learn about their role, the team, their company, and a few things happen when you do this. First, you get real insights you can use in your answers. Second, you build familiarity. And third, you can reference those conversations in your interview. You can say, I was talking to so-and-so on your team, and they mentioned, blank, blank, blank. That instantly separates you, because now you're not just a candidate, you're someone who took initiative. You're someone who's already invested. And yeah, even name dropping helps. If you drop their boss's name and say you're connected with him, they're instantly going to remember that, and they're going to remember you, the person. It signals that you're connected, and you'd be surprised how easy it is to get those conversations. Most people just never try. I genuinely believe this is one of the biggest reasons I ended up with multiple competing offers, including from different divisions at Goldman Sachs. And I know all this can be daunting. If you want help preparing for your own interviews, I'm doing one-on-one coaching calls. We can go through your resume, run mock interviews, or focus on whatever you need most. Link is in the description. So, at the end of the day, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be believable. If they trust you, they'll hire you. And if you take anything from this video, focus on building that trust. And if this helped you out, drop a like and subscribe. I also made a video on how to actually get interviews and fix your resume. So if you're still stuck at that stage, go watch that next.